So I want to talk today a little bit about decision making. So you can use this technique whenever you come to a kind of crossroads and you need to be making a decision. So that could be, for example, whether or not to start treatment cycle, whether to go into the next treatment cycle at a particular time. And this can be particularly helpful if you're being advised one thing by your fertility specialist and you're feeling like you want to do something else, or your partner is ready to step ahead and do one thing and you're struggling with the other. And this can come up so much in fertility and can make us feel really anxious. So to start with, let's just understand what the anxiety actually is. Especially if we feel like we've been blindsided and we were expecting to do one thing and now we're being told that it would be better for us and we're more likely to have success if we do something different. That can be really conflicting, and we can be like, but I decided we were doing this and I was all sorted, and now I'm being told I need to do this. And the first thing comes down is that it is your decision, because it can feel like it's not our decision. Now, if a fertility specialist is recommending something, we're like, well, we need to go and do that then, obviously, because it's the best course of action. Or if our partner is really pushing us into something and we feel like that control is taken out of our hands. So the first thing to look at is to go, it is your decision. You are the only one who can make these decisions. You're the one that physically has to do it. You're the one that has to sign the paperwork. So you do get to decide. So just for a minute, take that back and go, this is my decision. Whatever anyone else wants to do or wants me to do, I get to decide. So that just puts that power back into you. And just for a minute, if they're saying like, all right, you should go into treatment cycle as soon as possible, and that doesn't feel right, just for a moment, just take that and go, no, I'm not going to do that. And just sit with that for a little while. And I'm not saying that's the decision that you're actually going to make in the end, but just for a moment, try that emphasize and go, nope, not doing that. Just feel maybe that relief of, okay. And what that does is it just allows you a little bit of thinking space, and then you get to make the decision of whether or not you do it. So the minute you just go, right, I'm not doing it whatsoever. See what comes up for you. If you're saying, no, I'm definitely not doing it, then list all the reasons that your own mind are coming up with of why you should be doing it. Because if you go, no, definitely not happening, your mind will go, oh, well, hang on, the specialist has said this, my partner has said this, I've read about this, I've thought about this. List all of those things, like your own internal arguments. Then, on a separate list all of the reasons why you don't want to do it now or next cycle or 2 cycles time, whatever the time frame is. So you have a list of why you should go ahead, a list of why you don't want to go ahead. And then for each of those, so on the list where you don't want to go ahead, for each of those, go through and go, how can I, if it's something I want to achieve or do, is it possible to change the time frame on that? So for example, you could be like, oh, I want to exercise more and I want to get healthier before trying to conceive again. Well, what could you do if your time frame for that was, say, 4 months? What could you still achieve towards that in a shorter time frame? You could look at feeling like, oh, I want longer time to mentally and emotionally prepare. Go, okay, what could I do with that? Are there things I could do? And again, reduce the time frame. And each thing, like, go through so you can really pick apart each of those things and look at. But we also really want to speak to the fact of, even if the specialist is saying, I really recommend that you do this and your age and the time and everything, really speak to that. If you really don't feel ready, you don't need to do it. You want to be going into a cycle. You don't need to be 100% on board. So this is really important. You don't need to feel like, yay, I'm starting treatment, or I'm going into another round of treatment and yay, I'm 100%. You don't need to be 100%. You actually just need to be 51% on board. You need to be 51% on board so you actually do it. And 49% of you can be like, I really don't want to do this at all. But we can work on those 2 conflicting parts of you. So we've got these lists of why you should do it, why you shouldn't. And imagine that they are two parts of you, and you can have like an internal conversation with yourself. Or you could even get your partner involved or a fertility specialist involved and start having that conversation. And imagine they're literally having a discussion, argument between themselves. So this side is saying, I'm not ready to go into a treatment cycle yet because blah, blah, blah. What would this part of you, the part of you that is like, yes, we should go and do it, how would they respond? And it may be that they respond in the voice, the advice of the fertility specialist, your partner, an article you've read, something. But you start to have this conversation. So instead of these two parts of you, one being like, yes, we're doing it, one part going, no, this is where causes the anxiety, because you're like, you're going back and forth. There's this uncertainty. You'll actually find as well, so another beautiful technique is you go, ask this side, why don't we want to do it now? And you list all your reasons. And then you go, but why? And you go to like a deeper level of reasons. And then, but why? List the reasons. Yeah, but why? List the reasons. And so you get to like the real root of why you don't want to do it now. And it could be something kind of higher level that like, I really don't want to get pregnant through treatment. Or I'm not ready yet, I need more time. But why? What is it? Like really crunch down, like why? And this side as well, it's like, well, why am I going to go do it now? Because a fertility specialist said so. But why would I take their advice? Well, because I'm scared that if I don't, I won't get pregnant and then it'll be my fault. Do you see what I mean? You like crunch it right down to the real why. And what you'll probably find is when you do that, both sides have a really good argument of why you should and why you shouldn't be doing it at a particular time. And it may come down to, see, it's interesting thing. So generally when we do this kind of exercise, it comes down to, it's like, I want to be happy and I want to feel confident and calm with the choices that I've made. And that will be the answer with both sides. So once you start to see these two parts of you as these parts that can have this conversation, have this collaboration, where they've both got the same intention for you, you can start to then marry them. And you're not saying, if I do this now, I don't get to do all of these things. Or if I don't do this now, I don't get to do all these things. You can start to marry them. Or maybe you could meet in the middle. Maybe you go, okay, I'm not going to do it next cycle. I'm going to have a cycle off and then I'm going to do it. And speak to your fertility specialist about the statistics. It's like, well, if I do it now, or I do it, in 5 weeks instead of a week, or, 8 weeks instead of 4 weeks, statistically, what difference is that actually going to make? Because probably not a huge amount, even if you cross over a birthday and this big boundary. But for you, emotionally and mentally, having those extra 4 weeks could be massive for your mental health, for how prepared you feel going into that cycle, how you feel you can just catch your breath and prepare. And so really know that it is your decision. And use EFT so you can go through all of your fears of why you don't want to do it, tap on those. You can also tap on all of the reasons to do it now. So do positive tapping, so you don't need to do the karate chop point. You can just tap round. My specialist has said the chances of me conceiving are X percentage higher if we go ahead next cycle, even though I don't feel ready. Or you could be like, even though I don't feel ready, my specialist has said. Do something. You can start using the EFT, and you have the tutorial video. You can find it. I'll put a link below the video on the tutorial video of how you can use that. But can you be using EFT to help you make those decisions? You can even just tap around the points, follow the video, tap around the points while reading out your list as you go through. Have I covered everything? Oh yes, but say you do decide after doing this that yes, you are going ahead, but you still feel completely overwhelmed. Like I said, you don't need to be 100% on board. You might be 51%. Then you go, right, what can I do to support my emotional and mental health in preparation to do that? I can be journaling. I can be using EFT. I can be speaking to my support team. If you don't have one, then set one up. You could have a therapist. You could have a group of women that are really supporting you. you can be being really mindful with how you use your time. So looking at that exercise on the podcast I did, how to step off of the what was it, the train, how to step off like the infertility train, where we're just like doing all of the things and we don't have time to do all of the things. And in that episode I talked about an exercise you can do where you basically mind map, these are all the things I'm doing, or these are all the things I want to do, and then you go through and like, which ones are actually going to move the needle the most, which ones are actually helping me the most. So you can go through and switch that. I really hope this was helpful. Do reach out with any questions at all about these techniques. I hope they're helpful. Something else to really consider when you're making decisions about your next step is the fact that you need to grieve the step before. So if you're going from trying to conceive naturally to a treatment cycle, you need to grieve the fact that you wanted to get pregnant naturally. You thought that that was what was going to happen. And this can be a process. This is a process that you don't need to go completely through before getting to the next step. But just be aware of that there is this grief. And you can go through the 5 steps of grief from Gruber's model, which is denial, to start with, being like, no frigging way, I'm getting pregnant naturally. To bargaining, being like, just another 2 months, just another 2 cycles, just carrying on. I did this a lot. To anger, just feeling completely like, this isn't fair, I don't want to do this, what is going on? To depression, when you just feel completely hopeless, completely flat. Before coming through to the 5th step, which is acceptance. You don't need to like something, you don't need to be excited about something to accept it. But be aware that when we're going, especially from trying to conceive naturally to treatment, or maybe going from IUI to IVF, or going from using your partner's sperm to donor sperm, or using your own eggs to going to donor eggs, we need to grieve the step before. And that is a big part of the process. So you can check out, there's separate podcast I did on coping with grief. I'll put a link below the video, so definitely check that out as well. If you would like more support on your journey to motherhood, then please do subscribe to the Embrace Fertility podcast and YouTube channel. Sign up to join my mailing list and you will receive my latest free class and lots of fertility freebies, including the first chapter of my upcoming book and 3 different MP3s to help you reset, calm and connect in with yourself. If you're interested in finding more about the Embrace Fertility method and having both me and a circle of women supporting you on your journey and a whole host of mind-body techniques to support you, then go to embracefertility.co.uk/embrace. And if you're interested in having me support you on a one-to-one basis, as well as the group coaching within Embrace, go to embracefertility.co.uk/coaching and you can book in a free video call to discuss with me. I have space to take on just 2 more clients before the end of this year.